Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, there it sounds. Hello. Hi, Dr. Chan.
What's up,
How's
Joker?
how's knife?
Knife?
Yes, you heard me.
Down my wrist right now. Why? Why do you ask?
Oh, this turned dark very
I'm joking.
fast.
Hey Joker,
I'm joking.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Joker. Well, also Silver Raven.
can you comment on the Vix right now?
On Vix? Sure.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. Also, guys, I'm streaming, so if you'd like to join, let me know, or rather, just hop on. I'd love to have you guys.
Yeah, let's boost you up a little bit.
Yeah! Boost me, daddy. Okay.
Also, Joker. I think
Doritos
I'm holding out until Monday to hop on Mara.
Okay, that's
I'm getting a Doritos ad.
Yay, Dorito ad money. Except I don't get any ad money. Hang on, let me quickly plug myself in every Discord that I know.
Oh god.
There we are. 4 viewers. Holy cow.
He up to 5 now.
Damn. Hello, everyone. Hey, Shishio Sai. Thank you for the follow, my man. Let's get this overlay going. And let's see. Oh, hey, Tam. Welcome, my man. All right. First comment is on Vix. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. Yeah, there we go. Haplo, welcome, my man. Yo, appreciate the follow. Thank you. So what I want to show you guys on the Vix, and let me actually pull that up as well, because I posted about it earlier. Put up. And I'm assuming you're referring to my comment this morning, right, Rich?
No.
No.
Read any-
Okay. Well, now you caught me by surprise.
I'm gonna find your comment now.
Yeah, I'm actually going to post it up here, so don't worry. Let's see. Comment. I should probably use the search function, but I'm lazy. There we go. Okay. So what we're seeing here is known as Vix Compression, right? And Vix is the volatility index, meaning the more volatile the American markets are, the more the higher Vix goes. What we're seeing here is Vix dipping below the 20s line, first of all, which is significant because it's a well-known support. And now that it's hanging out below 20, that's kind of a sign towards the markets that we're in a bubbly state. So we're dipping down low here and going into the 15s right here. And as you can see, we have a downward facing flag. And it's very much compressed. So the flag is very small. And the tighter the compression is, you can see it as a spring. And now I'm not a TA guy, so don't take my word as gospel. Other people can probably explain the TA side of this better to you than I can. But historically, and on any chart, including VIX, but especially stock charts, the more compressed a flag gets, the longer it stays compressed. Much like a spring, it gets more and more energy and tension, which means once it breaks out of that flag, you're going to see, that force shooting it forward. So the expectation is once this VIX flag breaks, right, we're going to see a lot of volatility. So that's why this morning on Stock Market Today and on Stock Market General in Stockpocalypse, I said, hey, we're looking at a couple weeks of high VIX the moment this flag gets broken, which in my opinion will be the coming 2 to 3 weeks. So all that VIX in this case indicates is just volatility on the stock market. Doesn't mean that it's bad, although investors like low volatility. It's not a bad thing per se. Volatility can be on the upward side as well. So that's VIX explained. Do you have any specific questions, Rich?
So what are we gonna see when the coiled spring jerks?
Well, we're going to see stocks that are more vulnerable to volatility react harder. So small caps in general start moving a little harder than large caps. You're going to see stocks that are poised for big moves, like for example, in my opinion, semiconductors, which have all this energy kind of stored up in them, and you had this greatly bullish news from the stock side or the supply side, where supply is not meeting demand right now. And that means higher margins. We're seeing, earnings beat by 10, 15, 16%. And it actually, semiconductors went down on earnings, which I want to talk about in just a minute. So a lot of these kind of energy stored stocks are going to react more aggressively to it. Another thing you're going to see much more is growth stocks will react more aggressively. So you can probably expect a jump in Tesla. You can probably expect a jump in Lazar, Envis, those kind of stocks, the Wall Street Bet's favorite, Palantir, just any growth name is going to benefit from high volatility if they're on an uptick, or they're going to have a disadvantage to high volatility if they're on if they're on a downtick. So that's kind of where volatility points you towards. Now, if volatility goes too high, right, if you get this big breakout towards the upside, then you're starting to look at a crash environment, like, for example, the March crash, or earlier market environments. You can see it very clearly in this chart. You don't want that volatility to run too high. I don't think it's going to run too high or too hot. I think it's going to look like this cycle right here, where you will get, as you can see here, you just get this uptick from there, and then it's going to hang around in the middle for a bit, and it's going to calm down again. So there's more energy than last time, so I think the movement's going to be more aggressive, and it means that we're probably going to see some correcting on the stock market. And in my personal case, for me, this means flow traders is going to benefit quite greatly from that high volatility. How significant is it that VIX broke that support? It is not that significant because VIX kind of wobbles around pretty frequently to begin with. So it's not all that significant. All it does is signal, frothiness on the market. I personally think correction isn't fully over. I think we're looking at mid-May before it's fully over. All that signals to me is that we're gonna take a few hits in the near future. So next 2 to 3 weeks, hold on to your breaches. We're going to get some volatility. That means stocks are going to bounce around a little bit more than you used to. And if you're in your head, you're like, wow, I'm. If you're in this position, right, where you purchased, for example, let's say you bought Coinbase at 350, which I think is roughly fairly valued at 350. If you have that at 350, you might want to consider, if you can, taking a little profit and getting out, or getting out with half, because there's a very good chance that because of that volatility, it's going to bounce quite much lower than the fair value, or it might, bounce off of that higher as well, and it might even do that a few times. So that's what you're looking at with high volatility. More spiky markets, more aggressive action, and honestly, it's a more fun market. So if you know how to play it, you're going to have more fun. So not all bad. I wanted to talk about an interesting event that happened, and let me open up a thing on that as well. Let's see here. And this in particular is about China. Let me see if I can get this into a nice image. This story first broke on Twitter, and the interesting thing about this is the hash rates. This is what we're looking at here. These hash rates, this 24-hour change, as you can see, total hash rate mining power went down an average of, let's say, 25 to 30% in the last 24 hours. Now, in the last 24 hours, we had the Coinbase IPO, and we had Bitcoin between 60 and 65K.
And Bitfinex hack the $7.5 billion Bitcoin wallet moved some.
Yeah. So we had a lot of interesting movement in Bitcoin. There was no reason for all these miners to suddenly, turn off. So what happened here is, and this was due to some data forensics, right? What we're having right now is blackouts in Northwestern China. Now, the official story that China came out with is that they're testing the safety of their electricity network, right? So they're claiming that this was a safety test, and that's why there's blackouts. Of course, we don't know. It's China, so they can say whatever they want. It could just be that their coal mines are not working adequately or sufficiently, which we know is a problem in Northwestern China, which might mean this is more structural and we're going to see it more often. Or it might genuinely be some sort of test on the network, which has cut off much of the region, if not all of the region, in the past 12 to 16 hours. So these hash rates get slammed down. And this is not all of the hash rates. Like there's definitely some pools that you can't see. But this is absolutely a majority of the hash rates that go into Bitcoin mining on the regular. These are all the big pools. So those hash rates going down by 25 to 30% tells us that, let's say, 25% of that mining power is coming from Northwestern China. And that's an interesting fact to know, right? Because there's a big debate like, oh, where are Bitcoins being mined right now? What power base is it giving to who? And I've heard crazy numbers. I've heard people say, oh, 90% of all Bitcoins are mined in China right now, or by China and Iran. I think the reality of that is a bit more nuanced. I think that China is absolutely mining Bitcoins. But I think that the amount of Bitcoins mined in China is closer to 25 to 30% of the total supply. So let's go off that assumption for a second. 25% of all Bitcoins are mined in China. Side note about this, by the way. Interestingly, the 24-hour change indicates, the mining hash rate is going down. So less Bitcoins went into the supply in the last 24 hours. And because supply is going down, but demand hasn't really been adjusted, you can explain the upward pressure on Bitcoin today via or through this loss of mining power. Moreover, you can also extrapolate this to other coins because obviously other coins are mined there as well, just less. So you can say that in the entire crypto space, we have seen a lower supply today. And that means that in the near future, next 2-3 days, as these miners come back online, presumably, if this problem isn't, wow, my voice just went nowhere. Where if this number, if it goes up again, if this problem isn't structural, then we're going to see an increase in the supply and therefore some downward pressure on crypto. So for traders that are looking for short-term moves, expect, in my opinion, over the weekend, a stronger downward pressure on crypto. Only I think that structurally, the stock-to-flow model shows us that Bitcoin is poised to go for 75K or 70K before the end of April. So that's still my target for the end of April, 70,000 Bitcoin, 75,000 even. That's roughly where I think it's going. So that's the crypto and China news. We have some interesting news on China as well on the geopolitical side with Russia and Iran. But I think that's more interesting for next week. I'm doing a little research on that. And it's mostly about just the geopolitical alliance that's going on there. The skirmishes we're seeing around the Philippines. And, of course, the ultimate goal of who takes Taiwan and what's the contingency plan there. America's just sent a big delegate to Taiwan, so let's see how that plays out first, and we'll take another look at that next week. For now, I'm not moving my funds out of TSM. I'm not concerned yet, but I'm absolutely keeping an eye out for it. So that is the the looks at VIX. We took a quick look at China. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about semiconductors with you guys. So semiconductors is kind of a recurring theme with me. I'm fairly young myself, but I guess I've caught the boomer stock. In this case, you're not going to see 300% returns in a day on semiconductors. But what I do think you're going to find is a guaranteed win or a close to guaranteed win. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so invest with your own sanity and your own make your own decisions there. This is just for purely informational and entertainment purposes only. But you all know I'm banging the drums on semiconductors, and I'm going to continue to do so. I think in an inflationary environment or deflationary environment, but especially in an inflationary environment, having a stock like semiconductors, and I'm really talking any semiconductor in the space, they're all doing really well. But obviously there's winners and losers in that environment. Having a semiconductor company in your portfolio is just so smart right now. It is a guaranteed win in the coming 5 years. Semiconductors aren't going anywhere. We're going to need more and more of them. There's a huge shortage right now. We're seeing huge they're cash machines. Like, they're already making so much money every month, and their margins just increased by 15-16% on average. So what kind of tickers are you looking at? TSM, ASML, if you wanted to play it safer. ASML's in Europe. The Netherlands, to be specific. BESI, BESI, also Netherlands. They also have their shit together. Excellent performance the last month. I think they're up 15%. Click and Clack, KLAC, KLIC in America, doing excellent work there. They're roughly in the same space as ASML. AMD, NVIDIA. I don't like AMD nearly as much as NVIDIA. Marvell. Those are some excellent options that you can look at. And if you don't want to get into the crypto or into the semiconductor space, you should at the very least consider going into an ETF. Like, there's the VanEck ETF is excellent. Their choices of companies are really good. So if you think like, oh, I don't want to follow it actively, I just want some exposure, just get the VanEck ETF, and you're nicely exposed to semiconductors. AMD earnings coming up in 10 days, so that's excellent to hear. I believe Mara had earnings today. Did anyone get a chance to take a look at Mara earnings from the Discord channel? Chan, Sour, nobody? GG? All right, let's take a look together.
Sorry, what?
Did you guys get a chance to take a look at Mara's earnings today?
No, I did not. I just got off work.
Cool. Did they release today? I believe it was today, right? Nothing in the news and analysis section.
I wasn't even aware they had
Patent group.
like today or yesterday. It was on the 12th at 4 p.m.
I thought it was today. I might have missed it then.
That was 4 days ago, I think. April 12th, 2021, 4 p.m. earnings call.
April 5th.
In the event of a negative news catalyst for Mara, Turkey banned cryptocurrency.
They banned specifically
for business purchases.
Yeah,
right?
for transacting in cryptocurrency. $10K, March 16th, right here. Annual report. Got it right here. Did release today. Okay. Take a look together, shall we? Now, one thing to note on Mara, and this is why I think it's such an interesting stock, right? Those cookie cutter analysts that might be assigned to this desk, first of all, a lot of them don't know crypto space very well. Secondly, a lot of them don't see Mara or Riot as very interesting prospects. So a lot of these big companies that have desks with a few junior analysts on this really don't understand what's at play. Oh, my stream got muted. That's not good. Are you sure your sound didn't break? Okay, it looks like it's just on your side, Haplo, but I'll give you a sec to catch up while I rant about Mara. So all these, let me rephrase. There's some analysts that obviously know what's at play here, but I think there's quite a chunk of them that don't really look at this very clearly or very closely. So what they see is a company that makes $300 million a year, $250 maybe, that holds $350 million in Bitcoin, and they're valued at like $5.7 billion. And they go, huh? Excuse me? And that's I think at the heart of like recommendations that they give to their employers. So and that in turn turns into shorts or lower investments or no investments at all. So we have this dichotomy right now where this is not really on the radar yet for a lot of people. It's currently a $42 stock, I believe, and if I got my average purchase price is $32 right now, so a little lower than what we're at now. And I want to also emphasize this is a speculative stock to take. Okay, if you take a position, I recommend taking a small one. Right? Don't put your life savings into this. Speculative, you can lose. It's $38. There you go. It's speculative. You could lose all your money. Be careful when you make a speculative choice. The reason I like Mara is because I modeled out their mining rates. So right now they're mining plenty of money to be able to sustain themselves, even if Bitcoin goes down to 35,000. They don't care. They'll be fine. That's one. They're fine. They're not going to go bankrupt. There's no scenario under which this company is going to go bankrupt. Their costs are extremely low. Okay, that's one. Two, their cost price per Bitcoin mined right now is in the realm of $7,500, $8,000 per Bitcoin. Now, they've made some purchases in the last months, and that's where it gets interesting for me. They bought mining equipment for $100 million. That is more money invested than anyone else by far. Right? Riot does not have $100 million invested in upcoming mining equipment, state of the art. Hut 8 does not have $100 million invested in mining equipment. Hive does not have $100 million invested in mining equipment. So all of the big names do not have nearly such a big investment in mining equipment. And that investment is coming to fruition slowly, right? That equipment arrives, needs to be installed, needs to be set up, tested, all that stuff. So they only have 2 people and 3 people in full employment. Everything else is freelance.
Dumb question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What about Blockstream? I know they orchestrate large scale mining deals. Are you sure they're not mining any?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at them, but I definitely am happy to take a look at them. Remind me of the name after we look at the Mara 10K, and then we'll go over it for a sec.
Sure.
So it's one of the only players in the space that invested as much as they did. So they invested more than Riot. Now, if Bitcoin miners will win, if they're a winner, which I think they are, then Riot will do fine too. I don't think you'll lose money on Riot. I think you'll make money there too. Hut 8, fine. I think it's a nice choice. But I think Mara is the big winner. And the reason why is in 2021, Q1, their $100 million investment will have come to fruition. They expect them to be online. They're currently on schedule. There's been no reported delays. None of the things are arriving late so far. They're doing very well. They're ahead of schedule. Everything will be set up by 2022 Q1, the first quarter of 2022. If that $100 million worth of mining equipment gets added to their current mining equipment, they are mining on their own, so their own strength, 10.6 exahash per day. Okay? 10.6 exahash translates to, at the current mining rates, including pressure from other miners increasing their mining capacity. So that's included in the model. If that grows at the pace that it grows right now, which I predict at most it will, then they will mine about 60 Bitcoins per day. Cost price $5,500 per Bitcoin. So as long as these Bitcoins are higher priced than $5,500, they're making a profit on these Bitcoins. Obviously, we want that to be priced much higher. If Bitcoins do nothing but stay at the current price of 60K, in my model's case, I modeled it at 55,000. They will be worth about $420 per share. And that's not only a funny number, 420, woo. It's also the prediction for Mara. So that's, in my opinion, a 10-bagger waiting to happen. And that's why I am exposed to Mara. It's not a big position. It's a speculative small cash position. So take that with a grain of salt. Do your own research. This is a fundamental case on a very speculative position on a very speculative asset. Bitcoin can go to zero. It can happen. Doesn't have any intrinsic value. There is an absolute bear case for it. Research it. Understand it, please, before you do any investment in this space. Endeavor to understand. That's how my journey started into Bitcoin. I said, okay, this is clearly going up. There's clearly something happening here. Step one is just understanding it. Even if I don't decide to do anything with it after, understanding it is so important, right? And I do believe in blockchain technology, so that effort wasn't lost. So going into the 10K, bear in mind that their earnings right now aren't that high because they're not selling their Bitcoins and they're not liquidating, right? Any of that. So they're not making any profit, or not much profit anyway. Second, they are holding about $350 million worth of Bitcoin just in stock that they don't intend to sell. They think it's going to go higher. And third, they have $100 million worth of equipment coming. So when you're looking at the cost of the company, if you're just looking at it from the surface, you think, whoa, all that cost and no money made? That's weird, right? So without that context, that looks weirder than it is. But for me, that's bullish. And that's very good, actually. That means I can snatch the stock up at a cheap price, in my opinion. So let's go over this together. Fourth quarter 2020 recent highlights. Purchased 90,000 of the industry's most efficient Bitcoin miners during the fourth quarter, increasing the company's mining fleet to approximately 103,000 miners, capable of producing 10.37 exahash per second by the first quarter of 2022. Okay, so I have modeled 10.56. They have modeled 10.37. Now here's the question. Are they conservative on that estimate? Are they accurate on that estimate? Or are they overpromising? Obvious question from Rich. Their balance sheet should show mined BTC as an asset. No, that's correct. Yes, it should. What you need to do on your 10K, what every business owner will tell you that produces 10Ks or any notification to stockholders, you need to underpromise and overdeliver. That is the trick. You must underpromise and overdeliver, and do so consistently without it being obvious. It's a little game. It's a little bit of politics. It's kind of disgusting. You would rather just everyone reports honestly to each other, but that's not quite how that works. So, and again, this came out today, right? So I did not have this guidance to tell me how much I think they were going to mine by 2022 Q1. This is them today telling us that they expect to be at 1037. What that tells me is that I'm spot on, right? Because if they offer 10.5 or 10.6 to their stockholders, that means they're underpromised, overdelivered. They're overdelivered, right? So they can sound the trumpets and blow up some fireworks and say, "Look at how well we did, guys. We promised 10.37. We got you 10.6. Give us a pat on the back." Do they currently have a date of when their last miner is going to be up and running? No. 2022 Q1 is the guidance they've given. Plus, they'll probably be, expanding by then as well. So, I'm giving myself a little pat on the back here. Very first thing we see is that they're promising 10.37, which in my mind, if you assume that's an underpromise, means that 10.5, 10.6 is really close to the correct estimate. Initiated construction of mining facility adjacent to Beowulf's energy plant in Hardin, MT, supplying Marathon long-term access to electricity at 2.8 cents per kilowatt. That's correct in my model as well. I also modeled at 2.8. So that means that the cost price of $5,500 per Bitcoin is correct. As of March 15, 2021, installed 3,609. Okay, that's not that interesting. That's right now. 5,000 miners delivered, sure. Form digital currency miners North America, US-based nonprofit aimed at improving mining environment in North American miners. Cool. Not that relevant for earnings. As of December 31, 2020, the company had $216.1 million in cash and cash equivalents and total liabilities of $1.5 million. You see the They have 216 in cash and the liabilities of 1.5. It's beautiful. As of December 31, the companies generated and held over 2.3 million in Bitcoin as digital currencies. Fine. Chump change compared to what they'll be making. As of March 15, 2021, the company had 219 million in cash and cash equivalents, unaudited. Fine. It's an American company. My assumption is that they're not lying on these numbers. Just because they check out, first of all. Second, we can trace their purchases, and those check out. And they're an American company. If they commit fraud, they will be caught. So I don't think that they're lying on this one. But if they are, I'm screwed on that investment. So keep in mind, it could happen. As of March 15, 2021, the company has generated and held over 254 Bitcoins, each of which had a market price approximately of $56,000 as a result. The approximate value of Marathon's Bitcoin held as a digital currency was over 14.3 million. Correct. They said Q1 2022. Do they currently have a date when their last miner is going to... It's not worth it, bro. What do you mean, Funk? It's not worth it? Or Laser October?
I guess I could just talk, can't I?
Yeah.
No, I was being funny. Like, it's not worth it, bro. Like, don't do it. Like, with,
Oh,
with
right.
the fraud. Fudging the numbers.
But yeah, they said Q1 2022, just like I expected at Haplo. Subsequent to year-end, purchased 4.8 million Bitcoins for 150 million, average purchase price of 31,000 per Bitcoin. Perfect. Happy with that. I don't think Bitcoin is going to go below 31,000 anytime soon. Q1 ends in April, right? That's correct. Yeah.
So has
so
Mara
April at the
said
latest.
anything about diversifying types of crypto that they mine, or are they just strictly sticking
God,
to
I hope
Bitcoin
not.
for foreseeable?
I do not.
Yeah,
I don't think they will. None of their shareholders wants them to, nor do I. So if they say they will diversify, I'm out.
Okay, that's good.
Rebranded to Marathon Digital Holdings, reflecting company's position as a leading digital asset technology company. Strengthened the management team to appoint Simon Saltzman to Chief Financial Officer and Kevin A. to the Board of Directors. Management commentary. 2020 was a momentous year for our business as it marked the beginning of our transition into one of the largest and most efficient Bitcoin miners in North America. In the second half of last year alone, we established our 105 megawatt mining facility at Hardin MT, where we, that's Montana, right? MT?
Yes, sir.
All right. Where we have consistent access to electricity at rates far below market average. We presently purchased more than 100,000 of the industry's top performing Bitcoin miners before supply began to become constrained, and we enhanced our balance sheet. Guys, this is so important. Riot does not have any of this going for it. And they have a huge staff team at Riot. They have like 25 employees, each costing money per day, and they'll be sitting on their butts once the miners are working. Right? If they fire those people, they're going to have lawsuits on their ass. Okay? This is important to realize. Mara is slick. It's slim. It's a cheap company producing so much fucking money. It's insane. Okay, so, and again, I don't want to, I'm excited about this. Feel free to be excited with me, but don't let me FOMO you into this, okay? Again, do your own research, make your own decisions. I think it's very fun to go through this 10K with you guys. I want to do that more often because this is fun.
I'm actually, I think this is great from someone without a financial background, even though anyone can just sit and read it. Just having it like broken down in chunks makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, thank you, Funk. And I think you're very great.
Hey, I think you're great.
Aw.
With a solid foundation to grow the business, we are now focusing on continuing to building out our mining facility and bringing out miners from Bitmain online. Once all miners are deployed, which we currently expect to occur in the first quarter of 2022, Marathon mining fleet will consist of approximately 103,000 miners that generate 10.37 exahash. As evidenced by the investments we made into our mining operations so far, the establishment of the DCMNA, our 150 million investment in Bitcoin, and our rebranding, Marathon is fully committed to becoming one of the largest and most innovative enterprises Bitcoin self-mining companies, and we look forward to executing against our strategy to do so throughout 2021 and beyond. Marathon Chief Financial Officer Sim Salzman commented, financially, 2020 was highlighted by a 268% increase in revenue year over year and a substantial improvement to our balance sheet. We ended the year with $216 million in cash and cash equivalents, which we compare to less than 1.0 million cash at the end of 2019. While the price of Bitcoin and the network difficulty rates are subject to change, our mining operations are expected to produce at approximately 90% gross margins. That's gorgeous. 90% gross margins, it's unheard of, right? You can't get anywhere close to that on gold. Gold is produced at about, well, let's take silver as an easier example. Silver in the average mine is produced at about $12 to $14 per silver per ounce. Let's say it sells at 25 right now. That means you have a gross margin of 40, 50%, maybe a little higher because obviously it gets sent down the chain, but it's nowhere close to 90%. That's really strong. Obviously, this is subject to change if the Bitcoin price changes, but even if Bitcoin goes down to 40K, Mara is still very much a bull case for me. Our mining operations are expected to produce at approximately 90% gross margins, which gives us confidence that we will see improvements in our financial metrics over the coming quarters as we continue to build out our mining operation. So also a thing to note is that exahash rate won't just, come into existence in January out of nowhere. It will build up towards that. So we can expect a steady increase until January, which is great. It just increases their resilience as a company as a whole. Fourth quarter 2022 financial results. I think it's best to just read these on your own. Not that interesting, and we can see it back on their earnings a little further down. I don't think 2020 is that interesting. They made good money. A lot of money got invested into them, and they made some extremely prescient and risky moves that are now paying off. So good on them. Great moves. Risky, absolutely, but that's another advantage of being such a lean company. They can make fast and loose decisions like that. One quick highlight about the fourth quarter. They bought Bitcoin at 30,000. Great job. Nothing else can be said about that other than just good job. Full year 2020 financial results. Total revenue increased to 268%. We already went over that. Asset, investor notice, high degree risk, blah, 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 blah. Condensed consolidated balance sheets. Okay, so we already went over cash equivalents, which is most of what they'll own. They'll probably own the grounds of their office, the grounds of the mining facility, and they'll probably own a little bit of the power stations. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't get such a cheap price. And they will probably own the building where the warehouse where the miners are operating. So that's pretty much what I expect. Maybe a little bit of goodwill, but other than that, I'm not expecting to see much out of the ordinary on their balance sheet. Yep, so far so good. Digital currencies, property and equipment, a little bit of depreciation, prepaid services. So this is probably the freelancers that they're paying to set up the mining rigs. Right of use assets, that much, okay. Negligible amounts. Liabilities, so great. Excellent. Commitments and contingencies, well, that's about stockholder equity. Not that interested for what I like to look at. Martin Digital Holdings, statement of operations. Linus getting paid $8 million to set up mining PCs for Mara. Yeah, Linus is being no, if only it'd be one hell of a great advertisement for the company, but no. Again, I don't think income is that interesting to look at right now, because what I'm gunning for is the growth of this company, right? This 100 million investment that comes to fruition on mining rigs. We're only a small percentage of that down the road right now, so that's still building up. Their revenue right now is not all that great, or it's fine, but it's not. I don't think it's enough to justify the valuation. Will be more than enough to justify the valuation as we go into the year. Where's your free cash flow? Did I miss them? They didn't post their free cash flow here. They probably have it in their separate report. That's fine. So there is the Marathon Patent Group 10K. Super happy with it. What can I say? I'm bullish. I loved it at 42. I love it at 38, and I'll probably be buying a little more. Aren't the miners priced in already? No, not by a long shot. Absolutely not. If they are mining at 10.6 exahash in 2022 Q1 at $5,500 per Bitcoin, that means that they make about, at Bitcoin price $55,000, they make about $2.8 million per day. That's $1.5 billion per year. At $1.5 billion per year, divided by outstanding shares, we are looking at roughly $420 per share. So no, we're not nearly close to the valuation. I think the price right now does not include the knowledge that this growth is coming, or the acknowledgement that they can make it happen. I believe both the knowledge is true and the acknowledgement is deserved, and therefore $420 per share is very much in my sights. If Bitcoin runs to 100K, 140K in the meantime, which Papa bless, do it. Bitcoin people, make it happen. Prove me wrong. Even better. That's just going to rise it up further. So lovely to be exposed to it. It's pretty inflation proof, so if shit hits the fan, you'll be pretty happy to be in this. And yeah. Fantastic. I know I've said it before, but it is genuinely a great one to have. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. It's been lovely having you guys. Before you leave, a couple things. One, the stream isn't done. I will be turning it off and on again, so I have this part separate, but I will be streaming with Funk after this, playing some synthetic and just probably yapping about the stock market.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. I want to do a quick shout out. If you haven't yet joined the Stockpocalypse Discord, we have daily talks about stocks, about crypto, about semiconductors, and anything else that you might have questions about. We have people that do FA, we have people that do TA. We recently have a really cool mining crowd that joined us, or a really cool crypto crowd that joined us, which is a small community ran by Sour in the Stockpocalypse Discord. So if you have any crypto questions, feel free to direct them to Sour or Gigi or anyone else in that community. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in 5 minutes for the synthetic stream. Yeah, I'll get to your question right during that stream as well, Hablo.